I used to believe that routine was the backbone of a happy life. Monday to Friday, I worked my usual shift at the agency, clock in at 8, out by 5, never late. I handled logistics for a freight company, nothing glamorous, but it paid the bills and kept a roof over our heads. My wife, Lana, stayed home with our 2-year-old daughter, Sophie. We weren't rich, but we were comfortable. Every Thursday, Lana had her pool day. She called it her me time. Our local gym had a heated pool, and Lana insisted swimming helped her stay in shape and cleared her mind. I encouraged it, after all, taking care of a toddler day in and out could crush even the strongest spirit. I never thought twice about it until 3 weeks ago, when I found her gym bag on the kitchen floor, unzipped, with a receipt sticking out. I was looking for my headphones. Her bag had been mine years ago, a durable, waterproof duffel I used for camping. I reached in without thinking, and the small, crumpled piece of paper fluttered out. I picked it up. It wasn't a receipt from the gym. It was from a nearby cafe, time-stamped for 11:43 a.m., her usual swim time. 2 espresso drinks, a croissant, and a cookie. She was supposed to be in the water, not sipping lattes with someone. That's when my stomach tightened into a knot that wouldn't go away. I told myself it was probably nothing. Maybe she met a friend, or stopped there before heading to the pool. But the next Thursday, I left work early. I lied, said we had a power outage. I drove straight to the gym, parked across the street, and waited. My hands trembled as I sat there with the windows cracked, trying to keep my breathing steady. She walked in wearing her turquoise bikini under a sundress, gym bag slung over her shoulder. I saw her wave at someone inside. 10 minutes later, a tall guy with bronze skin and a swimmer's build entered. They laughed as they spoke, his hand casually touching the small of her back before they disappeared inside. I sat there for nearly an hour. The gym's large windows overlooked the pool, and I could just make them out through the haze of chlorine condensation. He was her instructor, no doubt, his shirt red staff, but their closeness wasn't professional. She wasn't learning to swim. They floated close, faces inches apart, laughing, arms touching beneath the water. The worst part? She looked happy. Genuinely, carelessly happy. I drove home numb. For the next few days, I acted normal. I played with Sophie, made dinner, and kissed Lana goodnight. But my thoughts spiraled into dark places. Had I been blind? Were those late showers and perfume-laced laundry excuses, not coincidences? The following Thursday, I followed her again. This time, I parked closer. They came out together around noon, heading to that same cafe. He held the door open for her. She brushed her hand over his, lingering too long. My heart slammed like a hammer against my ribs. I didn't confront her, not yet. Instead, I turned to my old friend, Ben, who now worked as a private investigator. He owed me a favor. "Give me a week," he said. 7 days of torture. 7 days of pretending everything was fine while I waited for evidence that could destroy my life. When Ben called me back, he sounded heavy. "I've got pictures," he said. "She's meeting him at his apartment on Fridays now. Around 11. She leaves before you get home." I said nothing. "I'm sorry, man." I hung up and sat in silence for what felt like an eternity. Then I stood, walked to the bathroom, and stared at my reflection. My face looked foreign, tight with rage and disbelief. I didn't know the man in the mirror. But I would. Because I was going to confront her. And I wasn't going to be the man who got walked on. Friday came, and with it, a calmness I didn't expect. I'd been drowning in doubt and fury all week, but now that the day had arrived, I felt eerily clear. Focused. Like my body had finally accepted that my world had shifted and was preparing for the impact. I kissed Sophie goodbye and told Lana I had an afternoon meeting out of town. She smiled as she handed me my coffee, like any loving wife would. Maybe that was the worst part, how normal she still seemed. How she could look me in the eye and lie without even blinking. I watched from down the street as she loaded Sophie into my sister's car. Lana had told her she was going to a prenatal class, another excuse, another lie. The moment she turned the corner, I drove straight to the address Ben had given me. A modest apartment complex on the edge of town, nothing fancy. But the moment I pulled up, there was no mistaking the black Mustang parked near the front door. I waited. At 11:06, Lana pulled in, stepped out of the car in yoga pants and a hoodie, her gym bag slung over her shoulder. She glanced around casually, then walked toward the stairs. Her pace wasn't hurried, but there was intention behind it. I followed at a distance, taking the side stairs to avoid being seen. Her lover's apartment was on the second floor. As she knocked and the door opened, I caught a glimpse of him, barefoot, shirtless, grinning like he just won the lottery. She leaned in, kissed him on the mouth, and walked inside. I stood outside for 20 minutes, maybe more, staring at that closed door. I could have kicked it in. I could have yelled, thrown things, made a scene. But instead, I walked away. I needed her to come home, to see me, to understand exactly what she had thrown away. That evening, she came in humming, setting her keys down like it was just another peaceful Friday. I was sitting at the kitchen table, Ben's photos spread out in front of me. She froze. "I know everything," I said. My voice was low, steady. No yelling. No theatrics. Just cold reality. She stared at the photos, the ones outside the cafe, the gym, the apartment. Her mouth opened, but no words came. "For how long?" I asked. Silence. "Lana." She finally spoke, her voice trembling. 3 months. 3 months. 90 days. Nearly 100 lies. I leaned back, the weight of it all settling in my chest like lead. "Why him?" I asked. She sank into the chair opposite me, avoiding my eyes. "He made me feel seen. Like I wasn't just a mom or your wife. Like I was still desirable." That hit harder than I expected. I wanted to scream that she was seen, that I loved her, that every ounce of effort I gave working late, saving, making a home was for her and Sophie. But I said nothing. What was the point? "I wasn't unhappy," she added, almost defensively. "It just happened." I laughed. I couldn't help it. "You weren't unhappy? You just betrayed your husband and risked our daughter's future because what, you missed feeling special." Tears welled up in her eyes. "I didn't plan this. But you chose it. Again and again." She nodded, crying now. "I'm filing for separation," I said. "You'll get the paperwork next week. I'll stay with my brother until I can find something more permanent. Sophie stays with you for now, I won't fight that. But if I find out he's near her, even once, we're going to court." She tried to speak, but I raised a hand. "We're done talking." I packed a bag, walked past the family photos lining the hallway, and stepped into the evening air. It felt colder than usual, but oddly freeing. Like I'd just surfaced from underwater and taken my first breath in weeks. Reflection. It's been 6 months since that night. The divorce is finalized. I see Sophie every other weekend, and slowly, we're building a new normal. I don't think I'll ever understand why Lana did what she did. Maybe people don't always cheat out of hate, maybe sometimes they do it out of longing, insecurity, or weakness. But that doesn't excuse the betrayal. It doesn't erase the pain. And it sure as hell doesn't undo what's been broken. But here's what I've learned: healing doesn't come from answers. It comes from facing the pain, owning your story, and choosing to step forward, one breath at a time. Even if you're walking alone.